First contact fallout. The stars seemed unusually bright from Earth's orbital defense station Aegis. Captain Alina Rice pressed her palm against the cold observation glass, her dark eyes reflecting the distant pinpoints of light that now held so much more meaning and threat than they had just 5 years ago. "Beautiful view," said a voice behind her. "Hard to believe there are beings out there who want us gone." Alina turned to face Admiral Chen, her commanding officer and mentor. The older woman's face carried new lines since first contact, etched by long nights of strategy meetings and impossible decisions. "Not all of them," Alina corrected. "Just the Vrexian faction of the Conclave. And they don't want us gone. They'd want us contained." "Same difference to me," Chen said, joining Alina at the window. "When a species tells another it can't leave its own solar system, that's not containment. That's imprisonment." Below them, Earth gleamed blue and white against the blackness of space. 5 years earlier, humanity had experienced first contact when a Conclave diplomatic vessel entered Earth's orbit. The Galactic Conclave, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species, had detected Earth's increasingly sophisticated technology and quantum communications. Their standard protocol was to make peaceful contact with emerging civilizations. But something went catastrophically wrong. Misinterpreted signals, cultural misunderstandings, and an itchy trigger finger on a Chinese defense satellite had resulted in human weapons firing on the alien vessel. Though the Conclave ship easily deflected the primitive attack, the diplomatic damage was done. The aliens departed, and 3 months later, a fleet of Conclave warships arrived to establish a quarantine perimeter around Earth's solar system. No human vessel would be permitted beyond Mars. Earth was officially under interdiction until humanity matured sufficiently to join galactic society. Admiral Chen handed Alina a data tablet. "Your final orders. The Defiance launches tomorrow at 600. Alina accepted the tablet, her fingers tracing the emblem of the United Earth Defense Force. The Defiance was humanity's secret answer to the quarantine, the most advanced starship ever built, incorporating reverse-engineered alien technology from debris collected after brief skirmishes at the quarantine line. "Any changes to mission parameters?" Alina asked. "No. Reconnaissance only. Map the outer quarantine barrier, identify weaknesses, and return. Under no circumstances are you to engage Conclave forces." Chen's expression hardened. "We're not ready for a war, Captain. Not yet." Alina nodded, though the "not yet" hung in the air between them. Earth's governments had united in the face of alien restriction, pouring resources into defense and space technology. The Defiance was just the first step. "There's something else," Chen said, her voice dropping. "Our Deep Space Observatory picked up unusual activity at the L4 Lagrange point of the Moon. Energy signatures that don't match known Conclave patterns." "Smugglers?" Alina asked. The quarantine had led to a black market in alien technology, with some Conclave species willing to trade with humans despite the official ban. "We thought so at first, but the scale is wrong." Chen brought up a holographic display showing the far side of the Moon. "They're mining, Alina. A Vrexian operation, extracting helium-3 and rare minerals. They're stealing from us while keeping us locked in our own system." Alina felt a cold anger settle in her stomach. That wasn't part of the quarantine agreement. No, it wasn't. The Conclave Council claims they have no knowledge of this operation. Either they're lying, or the Vrexians are acting independently. Chen shut down the display. "Your mission remains the same, but you should know what we're dealing with. The Vrexians don't just want us contained. They're exploiting us." The following morning, Alina stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching her crew prepare for launch. The ship was smaller than conventional military vessels, designed for speed and stealth rather than firepower. Its black carbon composite hull absorbed light and sensor signals, making it nearly invisible to standard detection systems. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Ortiz, her second-in-command and tactical officer, approached with a final systems check. "All systems green, Captain." Engineering reports the quantum drive is operating at 98% efficiency, better than expected. Weapons? Elena asked quietly. Defense systems only, as ordered, Ortiz replied, though his expression suggested he shared her concerns about venturing into potentially hostile territory with limited offensive capabilities. Elena took her command chair as the final launch preparations concluded. The Defiance was docked within a massive asteroid that had been hollowed out and converted into a secret shipyard, hiding the construction from both Earth's general population and any conclave observation. Communications, send launch code Alpha to control, Elena ordered. Launch code Alpha sent and acknowledge, replied Communications Officer Patel. We are cleared for departure. Helm, take us out. 1/4 impulse until we clear the asteroid field, then set course for the Mars orbital line. Aye, Captain. The Defiance slipped from its cradle, thrusters glowing softly as it navigated through the asteroid field that concealed Earth's secret shipyard. Once clear, the main engines engaged, accelerating the vessel toward Mars and the quarantine boundary beyond. Captain, Ortiz said, studying his console, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the lunar sector, consistent with the mining operation Admiral Chen mentioned. Elena stood and approached the tactical station. Show me. The display revealed heat signatures and energy pulses originating from the far side of the moon. The operation was larger than she'd expected, not a small resource-gathering mission, but a major extraction project. How did we miss this? She wondered aloud. They're using some kind of cloaking technology, Ortiz explained. Our new quantum sensors can detect it, but standard Earth observatories would see nothing unusual. Elena considered her orders. The mission was to probe the quarantine boundary, not investigate illegal mining operations. But the violation of Earth's sovereignty couldn't be ignored. Helm, adjust course. Take us on a wide approach to the lunar L4 point. Passive sensors only. Captain, Ortiz cautioned, that's not part of our mission profile. We're not engaging, Commander, just gathering intelligence. Elena returned to her chair. If the Conclave is violating their own quarantine, the Council should know about it. The Defiance altered course, its revolutionary engines propelling it toward the moon with barely a ripple in the quantum field, a signature nearly impossible to detect with conventional sensors. As they approached, the scale of the Vrexian operation became clear. My God, breathed Science Officer Kim, as her sensors mapped the far side of the moon. They've established a full extraction colony. At least 300 personnel, automated mining drones, and, she paused, fingers flying over her console, a destroyer-class vessel providing security. Elena studied the sensor readings with growing concern. The Vrexians weren't just taking resources. They were establishing a permanent presence in Earth's backyard, while keeping humanity contained and ignorant. Record everything, she ordered. Full sensor sweep. If we're reporting this to Earth Command, we need irrefutable evidence. As the Defiance silently observed from the shadow of a lunar crater, a new alert sounded from the tactical station. Captain, we have ships approaching from the outer system, Ortiz reported, tension evident in his voice. Conclave signatures, 3 patrol vessels on an intercept course. They've spotted us. How? Our stealth systems. They weren't looking for us, Kim interrupted, pointing to her display. They're headed for the mining operation. Standard patrol route. We just happened to be in the same sector. Elena faced a critical decision. The Defiance's mission was now compromised. They could retreat to Earth, abandoning their primary objective, but preserving the ship and intelligence gathered. Or they could continue as planned, risking confrontation with both the patrol ships and potentially the Vrexian destroyer. Battle stations, Elena ordered. Defensive posture only. Helm, plot a course away from the lunar operation, heading for the Mars line. Let's see if the patrol ships follow. The crew responded with practiced efficiency as the Defiance powered away from the moon, its revolutionary engines pushing it to speeds no human vessel had achieved before. For several tense minutes, it seemed they might slip away unnoticed. Then Ortiz's console flashed red. "Captain, the patrol ships have altered course. They're pursuing us." And he paused, checking secondary readings. "The Vrexian destroyer has powered up its engines." "They're all coming after us," Elena muttered. She'd hoped to avoid this scenario. "Communications, prepare a tight beam transmission to Earth Command. Include all sensor data on the mining operation and our current situation." "Captain," interrupted the helm officer, "5 more Conclave vessels just appeared at the Mars line. They're moving to block our route." The tactical display confirmed her worst fears. The Defiance was being surrounded, 3 patrol ships behind, a destroyer to starboard, and 5 warships ahead. The experimental Earth vessel, despite its advanced technology, was not designed to combat 9 alien warships. "Message from the lead Conclave vessel," announced Patel. "Text only. It reads, 'Human vessel, you have violated the terms of quarantine. Power down immediately and prepare to be boarded.'" The bridge fell silent as all eyes turned to Elena. The Defiance's maiden voyage had turned into a potential first and last battle. "Options?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the dire circumstances. Ortiz shook his head. "We're outgunned, Captain. Even with our advanced shields, we can't withstand concentrated fire from that many vessels. And if we surrender, Earth loses its only advanced starship, and the Vrexians continue looting our system." Elena stood, facing her crew. "That's not an option I'm willing to accept." She moved to the tactical station, studying the positions of the alien vessels now closing in from all sides. They were being herded, she realized, driven toward a specific point where all 9 ships could target them simultaneously. "Helm full stop," she ordered. "Captain, you heard me. All stop. Right here." As the Defiance halted its forward momentum, the Conclave vessels continued their approach, tightening the noose around the human ship. "Captain Reyes," Ortiz said quietly, "whatever you're planning, now would be the time." Elena smiled grimly. "Commander, activate the Prometheus protocol." Ortiz's eyes widened. "That system hasn't been field tested. The power requirements alone cold." "Those are my orders, Commander." With a nod, Ortiz entered a complex series of commands into his console. Throughout the ship, previously dormant systems hummed to life as power was rerouted from all non-essential functions. On the main viewer, the alien ships had formed a perfect circle around the Defiance, weapons charged and ready to fire. "Prometheus protocol engage," Ortiz confirmed. "Adaptive shield matrix online." "Now we show them what humans can do when cornered," Elena said, her eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. "Now we fight." The human variable. As the circle of alien warships tightened around the Defiance, Captain Elena Reyes remained standing, her posture betraying none of the tension gripping her crew. On the tactical display, 9 alien vessels, each more powerful than her experimental ship, had weapons locked and ready to fire. "Prometheus protocol at full capacity," reported Ortiz, his fingers dancing across his console. "Matrix stabilized." "What now, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Paddle from communications, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena's eyes never left the tactical display. "Now we wait for them to make the first move." She didn't have to wait long. The largest of the Conclave vessels, a Vrexian command cruiser, fired a warning shot that passed just meters from the Defiance's bow. "Message from the Vrexian commander," announced Patel. "Audio only." Elena nodded. "Let's hear it." A harsh, guttural voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Commander Draz of the Galactic Conclave Enforcement Fleet. Your presence beyond Earth's orbit violates quarantine protocols. Power down your vessel and prepare for boarding. This is your final warning." Elena gestured for Paddle to open a return channel. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Defiance. We are on a peaceful mission within our own solar system. Your mining operation on Earth's moon, however, violates the very quarantine you claim to enforce." There was a long pause before the Phyrexian responded, his tone laced with surprise and anger. "Your primitive sensors couldn't possibly detect our operation. You're bluffing." "Transmitting sensor readings now," Alina replied coolly, signaling Paddle to send a carefully edited package of data, enough to prove they'd discovered the mining operation without revealing the full capabilities of Earth's technology. The bridge crew held their breath as seconds stretched into nearly a minute of silence. "Your interference is irrelevant," Drazd finally responded. "The resources of your system belong to those advanced enough to harvest them. Earth remains under quarantine. Surrender your vessel immediately." Alina cut the communication and turned to Ortiz. "They're going to fire." "All of them, simultaneously." Ortiz nodded grimly. "Prometheus is ready. All hands, brace for impact," Alina announced shipwide, then took her command chair and gripped the armrests. "Let's see what our engineers have built for us." On the view screen, energy weapons flared from all 9 surrounding vessels, converging on the Defiance in a devastating barrage that would have vaporized any conventional spacecraft. The bridge lights flickered as the ship shuddered, but remarkably remained intact. "Prometheus shields holding at 92%, reported Ortiz, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. "The system is learning." This was the revolutionary technology that made the Defiance unique, not just a static defensive shield, but an adaptive matrix that analyzed incoming weapons fire and reconfigured itself to most effectively counter each specific energy signature. "The Conclave ships are adjusting their weapon frequencies," Kim noted from the science station. "Standard tactic against conventional shields." Alina smiled. "But our shields aren't conventional." As the alien vessels fired a second barrage, the Prometheus system had already adapted. The energy weapons splashed harmlessly against the reconfigured shields, dissipating into brilliant cascades of light. "Shields holding at 89%, Ortiz confirmed. "The adaptive algorithms are working perfectly. Each attack makes our defenses stronger." On the view screen, the alien vessels repositioned, clearly confused by the unexpected resilience of the human ship. "They're communicating with each other," Paddle reported, monitoring intercepted transmissions. "They don't understand how we're withstanding their combined firepower." "Time to show them we're not just good at defense," Alina said. "Tactical, target the nearest patrol vessel. Pulse cannons only, minimal power. I just want to get their attention." Ortiz configured the weapons system, then looked up for final confirmation. "Ready, Captain." "Fire." The Defiance's experimental pulse cannons released a precisely calibrated energy burst that struck the nearest Conclave patrol ship. The vessel's shields flared but held, exactly as Alina had intended. "Open a channel to all Conclave vessels," she ordered. "Channel open." "This is Captain Reyes. As you've witnessed, your weapons cannot penetrate our defenses, and we possess offensive capabilities we've chosen not to fully deploy. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves and our solar system. I propose an immediate ceasefire and discussions regarding your illegal mining operation and the terms of Earth's quarantine." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then the alien ships began to power down their primary weapons. "Message from Commander Drazd," Patil announced. "Text only. Ceasefire accepted pending consultation with Conclave High Command. Maintain your position." A collective exhalation of relief swept through the bridge, though Alina maintained her composed demeanor. "Stand down to yellow alert, but keep the Prometheus system online." "Captain," Ortiz said quietly, joining her at the command chair, "they're reassessing their entire understanding of human technological capabilities right now." "That was the point, Commander." Alina spoke softly so only he could hear. "Earth has been developing this technology in secret for 5 years, since the quarantine began. If they thought we were still launching chemical rockets while they strip-mined our moon, they needed a reality check." Hours passed as the standoff continued, the Defiance surrounded by alien vessels, now keeping a respectful distance. Elena used the time to confer with Earth Command via secure quantum communications, a technology the Conclave believed humans were decades from developing. Admiral Chen's holographic image appeared in Elena's ready room, her expression a mixture of concern and pride. "You forced their hand earlier than we planned, Captain, but perhaps it's for the best. The Conclave Council is in emergency session. Apparently, the Vrexians didn't have authorization for their mining operation, or at least, that's what the other species are claiming. So we've caused a political crisis within the Conclave," Elena observed. "You've done more than that," Chen replied. "You've demonstrated that humanity can't be dismissed as a primitive species unworthy of galactic respect. The quarantine was based on the assumption that we were centuries from developing the technology you just revealed." A chime indicated an incoming communication from the Conclave fleet. "I need to go, Admiral. It seems our alien friends have reached a decision." Back on the bridge, Elena authorized the incoming transmission. The main view screen displayed a being she hadn't seen before, not Vrexian, but a tall, slender alien with luminescent skin and 4 articulated arms. Based on briefings, she recognized the species as Tlaxian, one of the founding members of the Conclave. "I am High Counselor Nexer of the Galactic Conclave," the alien began, its translator rendering the words with a melodic quality. "The situation unfolding in your system requires my personal attention. The Vrexian mining operation was not sanctioned by the full council and will be dismantled immediately." Elena nodded acknowledgement, but waited for more. "As for your vessel's presence beyond the quarantine boundary," Nexer continued, "we find ourselves in an unexpected position. Your technological advancement suggests our assessment of human development was flawed. The quarantine was based on a misunderstanding from the beginning," Elena replied firmly. "Humanity reacted defensively to your first contact vessel because of cultural misinterpretations, not inherent aggression. We've been trying to communicate this for 5 years." The Tlaxian's skin pulsed with soft blue light, a sign of thoughtful consideration. "According to briefing materials, perhaps there is truth in this. The Conclave Council has authorized me to establish preliminary diplomatic relations with your government. The quarantine will remain technically in effect, but with modifications to allow for cultural and scientific exchange. It wasn't everything Earth had hoped for, but it was a substantial victory, achieved not through warfare, but by demonstrating capabilities that demanded respect." "We welcome this opportunity, High Counselor," Elena replied. "I'm authorized to escort your diplomatic vessel to Earth for direct negotiations with our United Council." The agreement was quickly finalized. Most of the Conclave fleet would withdraw, while a single diplomatic vessel would accompany the Defiance back to Earth. Meanwhile, Conclave inspectors would oversee the immediate shutdown of the illegal Vrexian mining operation. As the alien warships dispersed, Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Defiance's mission had transformed from reconnaissance to first contact, proper first contact, with humanity negotiating from a position of strength rather than perceived weakness. "Set course for Earth, Lieutenant," she ordered the helm officer. "Let's bring our guests home." Ortiz joined her as the ship came about, the stars shifting on the view screen as the Defiance's quantum drive engaged. "The Prometheus protocol exceeded expectations," he noted. "Engineering reports we could have withstood their combined firepower for hours." Elena nodded. "But they don't know that. Sometimes perception is as powerful as reality." "Do you think they'll actually lift the quarantine?" Ortiz asked. "Eventually," Elena replied, watching as Earth grew larger on the view screen. "They're afraid of us now, not because we're violent, but because we advanced faster than they thought possible. We forced them to reevaluate everything they believed about humanity." The blue-green planet that had been humanity's prison for 5 years now represented something new, not just home, but the starting point for a journey into a wider galaxy. The quarantine had been intended to contain human potential, but instead had focused it, accelerating development that might otherwise have taken decades. "We still have much to learn from them," Elena said, "but today they learned something important about us." "What's that, Captain?" asked Ortiz. Alina smiled as the Defiance led the alien diplomatic vessel toward humanity's homeworld. "That humans don't accept limitations. We overcome them." Behind them, the stars beckoned, no longer unreachable points of light, but future destinations for a species that had earned its place among them.